Let's skip to page 9. At the bottom of the page you should see Part 4, Ellipsis. On the right side, the explanation begins, in many dialects. When in many dialects is used in this book, it really means some people do it and some don't. In many dialects, unstressed syllables are not reduced to Instead, they are completely dropped. This is called ellipsis. Please note that although ellipsis is quite common, it is not used by all speakers. Let's look at the left-hand side of the page. I can say favorite, 3 syllables. Favorite. My chin goes down 3 times. Or I can say favorite, 2 syllables. Favorite. My chin goes down twice. That is an example of ellipsis. Instead of reducing the vowel to we eliminate it altogether. I'll read both versions, and you repeat after me. Favorite. Favorite. Probably. Probably. General. General. Business. Business. They're both correct. At least in my dialect here in New York, the second way with the ellipsis is more common, but that doesn't mean that everyone will say it that way. I can tell you that I tend to pick and choose. It's not a conscious thing I do where I say, oh, I'll use an ellipsis in this word and I won't use it in that word. It just happens in some words and doesn't happen in others. But I've never sat down to think, why do I use an ellipsis in that word and not in that word? What can I say? I'm an American. Anyway, the top of page 10. Let's do this together. We'll say the word the correct way, and then we'll say, you see, I shouldn't have just said the correct way. That was Mark the teacher coming out. I have no right to say the correct way. We'll say it one way, and then we'll say it the other way. The other way will have the ellipsis. Okay, exercise 14. Repeat after me. So first, without the ellipsis, memory. Memory is 3 syllables. Now with the ellipsis, memory. That's 2 syllables. Number 2, mineral. Mineral. Margarine. Margarine. Florida. Florida. Vegetables. Vegetables. Separate. Separate. Average. Average. Suppose. Suppose. Conference. Conference. Interesting. Interesting. Probably. Probably. Favorite. Favorite. As a New Yorker, I can only say that some words, like number 1, I've heard both ways, memory, memory. But word 5, I don't think any New Yorker would ever say vegetables. We all say vegetables. I cannot give you a rule for this. I can only say this is what happens. Exercise 15. I'm going to read each word without the ellipsis. So for example, for word 1, I will say family. Then I will pause, and I will wait for you to say the word with the ellipsis. So you want to say family. It's that letter I that's crossed out. It would probably be easier for you if you paused the recording, crossed out the vowels that will not be said, and then put the recording back on. Let's start with number 2. Business. With the ellipsis, it's business. That I is crossed out. Word 3, horrible. Horrible. 4, camera. Camera. 5, Memory. Memory. 6. Finally. Finally. 7. Every. Every. 8. Evening. Evening. 9. Generally. Generally. 10. Aspirin. Aspirin. 11. Federal. Federal. 12. Operator. Operator. 13. Practically. Practically. 14. Difference. Difference. 15. Opera. Opera. Now I'll tell you, when I was in elementary school and even junior high school, I misspelled many of these words because I wrote them the way I said them. So for example, word 7, since I never said every, I only said every, I spelled it E-V-R-Y instead of E-V-E-R-Y. It's the same with word 10. I never said aspirin, I said aspirin, and I spelled it without the first I. These are some mistakes that my teachers had to correct over and over and over and over. Exercise 16, production. What's interesting about these words is they have 3 possible pronunciations, and all of them are okay. The first column is the most formal, and the last column is the least formal. This is a repetition exercise, so just repeat after me, starting with number 1. Especially. Especially. Specially. Another. 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 Because. Because. Cause. Remember. Remember. Member. About. About. Bout. Enough. 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 Those words in the third column often get written on the internet as they're said. So instead of because, a lot of people will just write cuz, but they'll spell it C-U-Z. I'm sure if you're much younger than I am, and probably all of you are, you've seen that very often, and perhaps you do it even yourselves. Page 11. Exercise 17. This is another repetition exercise. About 8. About 8. Enough time. Enough time. Remember that. Remember that. Especially nice. Especially nice. Another one. Another one. 'Cause she said so. Because she said so.